Peace and love, everybody. It's your man, Manny Faces, checking in. I always get this like right when I start talking. It's ridiculous. I think it's a nervous thing because I get nervous coming to y'all every week. What happened here? Oh, my God. We're all over the place. What's going on? What y'all doing to me? There you go. It's a little better. Anyway, you know, it's the show before the show. If you're checking in on the replay, don't worry about it. We're about to get fancy. This is just what happens. I like to let people trickle in. Got a big show tonight, so I'm not going to waste y'all time giving you the show before the show. Peace to my people's already on the check-in. It's a good show. We got a couple of dope guests coming up. I got some stuff I can share with you. Share right quick. Make sure your friends are coming. Join in the party. If you're watching on something other than YouTube, you should have a link there that says go to YouTube. I changed the motif. I'm trying to get red. It looks purple. I'm trying to get red because I got, look, check it out. New glasses. They're red. They're like burgundy. So I'm trying to match the motif. Doing what I do. It's your man, Manny Faces. This is Hip-Hop Could Save America. And it goes a little something like this. Hit it.
Manny Faces.
You sick for this one. Sick for this one. Sick for this one.
The thing about hip-hop today is it's smart. It's insightful. The way that they can communicate a complex message in a very short space is remarkable. And a lot of these kids, they're not going to be reading the New York Times. That's not how they're getting their information.
My hip-hop will rock and shock the nation. Hip-hop culture is more than music.
Teach the youth and speak the truth. Show 'em what peace can do in their reach for you.
My hip-hop will rock and shock the nation. Rap is something you do. Hip-hop is something you live.
So hip-hop didn't invent anything, but hip-hop reinvented everything.
This is Baby Girl Faces, and this episode is brought to you by
Graffiti on the bus. Your man, Yamello. Why the button doesn't work? Your man, Yamello, Manny Faces. Peace and love, y'all. Yes, this is a different motif, a different color, coordinated thingamajig that I'm doing. I just want to try to match the motif here. Just give me some slack here. I'm trying to work these fantastic lights and cameras in action. What up to everyone on the check-in? Peace to Andrew Wang. Well, before I say peace to everyone in the chat, which I appreciate you coming in early, you saw the opening montage. There were some folks there that are Patreon subscribers. So I just want to say thanks to the people who were in the montage, but also folks who haven't been put into the montage yet. So I just want to say thanks again to, I think Andrew's in there, Dr. Raphael Travis, Patrick and Chris J. Kath and Morgan are all supporters either through patreon.com or Substack. So I appreciate y'all. We're going to get that thing updated. We're going to get Baby Girl Faces to say all your names and do a little routine. No, I'm not going to do a routine. That's stupid. But I'm definitely going to fix that up. But thanks anyone for supporting. If you feel so inclined, patreon.com/Manny Faces. I'll come back later because why would you do it now? You don't even know what I'm doing. You might be a first-time watcher and you're like, why would I give you money? I don't even know what's happening. So just stick around. And at the end, maybe you could help keep the lights on. Shouts to Andrew Wang, one of our super supporters in the chat room. He already knows what's happening tonight. Well, all y'all do if you saw the thing. But we got a good show tonight. Once again, Ms. Thursday, who was chilling in Atlanta just the other day with Uncle Ralph McDaniels from Video Music Box. Shouts to Ralph McDaniels. Shouts to Ms. Thursday, who also runs the BPM podcast out here on these YouTubes. Shouts to my sister from another Mr. Keisha Dutez, a.k.a. Tasty Quiche, TK in the building, checking out what we're doing here tonight. Andrew says, is this Devil Manny? Is this like dark, what am I, Dark Brandon? Like, it's purple over here. I'm trying to get it to be red. I can't get it to be red. There's something going on. I'm not sure what's happening. Prism from the Chosen Zulu family in the building. We're going to be talking to them in a couple weeks. Finally, long overdue, and I'm happy that it's on the calendar. And that's what we out here to do. Talk to people who are using hip hop in ways that can uplift humanity and improve society. That's what I do. I'm the guy that talks about that. And I bring on people who are doing that kind of work. That case in point, tonight we have two guests. We give them with two-piece combo tonight. Number one, as you see on the screen, and you might have seen on the promotions for this show, none other than New York House of Representatives Representative Mr. Jamaal Bowman, representing New York, just north of just the tippy top of New York City and Yonkers and White Plains and that little area of Westchester, New York. He's a House of Representative member, a member of what's called the Squad, or a sort of progressive wing of the Democratic Party. We're here to talk about something that caught my eye. Now, listen, I'll tell you in a minute because I want to give you some other things first. How I met with Representative Bowman last summer when I was up on Capitol Hill. All right. I never got to tell y'all this story about why I was at the Capitol, and I got pictures, and I was at a press conference, and it was a whole thing, and it has to do with me writing or helping to craft language in a United States House resolution that was commemorating the 50th year of hip hop. So wording that I added to this resolution now sits as part of history in the Congress, the records of whatever Congress. So I'll talk to you about what I had to say about hip hop and how I had helped commemorate it in the halls of, I was gonna say in the halls of justice, but in the halls of Congress. So we'll talk about that right before we get into our interview in about 15 minutes. But stick around because I want to show you. Nope, I still haven't gotten this right, y'all. Y'all just bear with me, yeah? So I want to show you a couple things. Once again, the newsletter that I mentioned is free and available for all the people to subscribe to. It's at mannyfaces.substack.com. And why I mention that is because in there, we'll have events and news that's worthy for folks who want more from their hip hop than just like what's on the radio and the entertainment gossipy stuff. This is weird. Oh, I know why it's so wide there. Okay. So what I want you to do is make sure you check out the Words I Manifest free newsletter on Substack. I'll put in the comments, but it's at Manny Faces. Look, I got to type it. One day I'll get a mannyfaces.substack.com. That I can't automate, so you got to let me do it each time. So it's in the comments section. Again, if you're watching on anything but YouTube, come on over to YouTube. You might be, I see we got some Twitter folk checked in. Twitter X folk, go over to YouTube. It's hiphopcansaveamerica.com/watch. Don't tell Twitter because then they won't promote us next time. They'll be like, why are you taking people off the platform? But I'm just saying that's kind of all where the chat is. So, we're trying to get everyone there. Subscribe to the channel. If you are not, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please do so right now. Just give it a subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and share it. There's going to be people who want to watch tonight because we have, not only do we have a congressman, but we also have my man Divine. Divine is a former recording artist, hip-hop rapper, and a hip-hop rapper. He's a hip-hop rapper. He's a rapper that was doing music for a while. He had been previously incarcerated for some time, so he's a system-impacted person, as folks like to say now. A good terminology for that. Someone who was system-impacted, he was incarcerated for a while, came out, and is now, and turned himself into a tech entrepreneur. And he's been working in the world of Fintech, which is financial technology. This guy rubs elbows with the venture capitalists of the world, but keeping it all the way hip hop and all the way from around the way. So we're going to talk to my man Divine, who I've known for quite some time, about financial technology, his startup called Solvent, and how he's using, again, his experiences as not only a hip hop recording artist, but someone who is incarcerated and system impacted to try to bring that kind of level playing field and bring folks who are traditionally left out of the financial services up in the mix. So you'll want to stick around for my man Divine as well. Tony Blackman, we love you so much. Tony Blackman is saying that and y'all all should do this, tell your series or whatever, put it on the calendar. The notifications come up, but this is must-see TV, and it's conjuring memories of Bonfire Radio days. Shouts to Bonfire Radio. Tony, TK is in the building right now, and it's funny, we were talking earlier today. She was sharing with me that, coming out to this show, tuning into the show last couple weeks, gives her the same kind of vibes, and that's an honor and a privilege that anything I do is connected anything closely to what was happening over there at Bonfire Radio. A couple of things I want to share with you. As you know, I love to give y'all at the beginning of the show some hip-hop news that isn't about dumb said. I've got, why does it keep doing this? It keeps going to this. I got to do this. Okay. So a few things that you might want to know about or hear about on the show that only I will deliver to you in one consolidated place. Again, the thing I do. The newsletter is great for this kind of information. So it's in the comments chat. Check it out. I'm going to run through a few things that I came across from different parts of the country. I do try to collect and curate these things and put them out to the newsletter, and we put them out on this show. The best thing you can do is watch the show every week, because sometimes there may be something coming up in a month and I'll talk about it on a couple of episodes, but I'll get tired of, repeating it, and you might miss it. So you have to watch every week. Emerge ATX Graffiti Art Show. We love to showcase all the elements of hip hop here. So few hip hop places do. I'm not saying, I don't want to throw shade. Let's just say that this is where you can get it. That's all I'm saying. You can get it somewhere else. Who knows? But here you can get that stuff. Saturday, April 22nd, 7th, in Austin, Texas. There's a ATX Graffiti Art Show. So you won't find, I went to a great, I'm talking fast, y'all. I'm trying to get a lot in because we got this interview coming up in a few minutes and you're going to love it. I went to a great graffiti supply store with my man Monk and my man Edwin when we were doing the hip-hop global conference for hip-hop education in Los Angeles. And I think it was called Montana, a great graffiti arts and supply store out in LA. And it was really great. They had a lot of great, all the cans and spray cans and all the paraphernalia and all that stuff. And then we went out to a spot out there. I'm not going to remember the name of this place. It's all the top of my head. I'll find it for y'all and get it back. But this was over the summer, and this was an outdoor. You think of it like I won't say like a junkyard, but because there was nothing there. It was just an open lot, right, with walls surrounding it, outlining it, and it reminded me of 5 Points. If y'all from New York City, if you know anything about graffiti art, visual arts in the hip hop scene, 5 Points was the spot, and 5 Points was out in Queens, and it was an entire building where there was an agreement that artists would be able to paint the building, different parts of the building around a whole city block. Just look up 5 Points, 5 Points with a Z, and you'll know what I'm talking about. Obviously, a lot of y'all already know what I'm talking about. And so this was very small scale. I know they're expanding, but the point is, and 5 Points, of course, went through a whole long legal battle. The artwork was eventually painted over by the owners of the building in a big dispute, and it was a horrible tragedy to the world of art. However, the folks at 5 Points, and shouts to Mears One. Where is it? Where's my Mears One? There, right there. That's a Mears One light bulb piece, original. And of course, my the homie Marie, who fought till the very bitter end against the developers who wanted to tear down the building with all the art on it. The artists were like, "You can't tear down the building; it's got art on it." And they're like, "It's our building," and they're like, "It's our art." And it became a whole legal battle, and it was a really fascinating legal battle for the idea that if the art is sitting on top of the building, you can tear down the building, but you can't destroy the art, in an agreement where we said you could put art on the building. Big legal thing. They ended up whitewashing the building and painting over it. Really kind of crummy thing to do. But what's interesting is that the artists won the lawsuit in the end, something like $6 million, in damages to compensate for the artwork that was ruined. And I liked it because it was something that legitimized, as if we have to further all the time fight for legitimization in hip hop or, anything attached to hip hop culture and arts. But it did. And it was a legal battle, and it's a precedent. And I think it's fascinating. If you don't know anything about that, look into that. It's a really interesting thing that happened some years back. I covered it greatly when I was covering Birthplace Magazine. Fun fact, they actually used an interview I had with the folks at 5 Points against 5 Points in a court of law, because I said there doesn't seem to be a lot of interest from the hip hop community. And what I meant by, at the time, they took my words out of context, as lawyers will do. What I meant was sort of like the Jay-Z's of the world, or the moguls of the world, or the record labels. They weren't coming to the rescue. It was all an underground movement, just to show that the underground in hip hop was still powerful, and they were all fighting for it. They were at the city council meetings. They were there protesting. Hip hop was there. Corporate hip hop, capitalist hip hop wasn't there. But they took that and they made it sound like hip hop didn't care about 5 Points. Hip hop very much cared about 5 Points. And it's just another tale where we find out that hip hop is more than what you just might hear on the radio. So anyway, Peace to everybody else. I'm off on a tangent already. So anyway, so I was saying that there's a place in LA that I went to last year. Not only did they have a graffiti arts supply store, which was super dope, and the people there were super knowledgeable, and they were like, oh, here's where people paint out here. Here's where people write, graph and do all the things. Here's where we go around the country. Like, if you want to get into that scene, and it reminds me, sometimes we forget, sometimes it's hard to keep in the front of our mind that no element of hip hop is dead. No section, no advocacy for hip hop, for those elements, that art is dead. It's still alive and well. So shouts to, I think it's the Montana Arts Supply Store in LA, and shouts to this wonderful area that was just a parking lot with canvas, and you can just go there and paint. And I'll find their names and I'll drop it in the comments when I come back and you watch the replay. But just goes to show that none of this stuff is dead. It's all alive and well. You just got to open your eyes and look for it. So I say all that to say there's a art show out in Austin, Texas. I know a lot of people out in Austin, Texas right now for South by Southwest. Shouts to you if you're out there, or if you were out there and you're watching this later. This year, once again, as always, the Trinity International Hip Hop Festival happens at Trinity College up in Hartford, Connecticut. This is a good, I always bring you to conferences, always tell you what things are happening in the world, in terms of sometimes an academic edge to hip hop. But what I love about hip hop conferences, whether it's Can't Stop, Won't Stop, which is happening at Harvard in May, the Hip Hop Youth Research and Activism Conference, which I'm a part of, which is going to be happening, we think, in April now. It's been postponed. It was supposed to be this coming weekend. Show and Prove, which used to rock out of Cali and is now coming back in some form, I heard. There's been a bunch of conferences that are at colleges, often run by college folk. Got a lot of academic twists and turns to it. Shouts to the Global Cypher conference happening in Ireland in May, which I'm going to be at. Oh, wow. Exclusive. But all these conferences, even though they're academics and run by academics, what I love about hip-hop conferences and what I think hip-hop conferences need to do is bring in artistry and artists. And you, if you're a fan or you're a teaching artist or the type of person that listens to this show, but you're not a teacher or an academic, doesn't mean you shouldn't be at these academic conferences. In fact, you should be at these academic conferences. You need to be at these academic conferences. We don't want these conferences to be full of academics. Some of them are great, don't get me wrong, but we need practitioners and people of the culture, by the culture, for the culture, up in these academic institutions to make sure they're doing it right, make sure they're including everybody. And that actually is going to lead into our interview tonight with Jamaal Bowman, U.S. House of Representatives member that is starting up a hip-hop task force. A hip-hop task force in Congress. What does that mean? Who's going to be tasking? What's the force for? Who's hip-hop? What hip-hop? Like, we're going to talk about that. I needed to know, and I had to find out. So anyway, Trinity International Hip-Hop Festival, April 6th. Google these things. Y'all know how to use the Google. You might want to check that out. It's in Hartford, Connecticut. Again, they often have great panelists and keynote speakers and artistry and performances. It's run by the college students, get involved. It's really pretty dope. I've been there a couple times in the past. Matter of fact, they were one of the first ones to let me start lecturing over there when I started coming out and speaking. So shouts to them. Last week, if you saw, we had a great episode, a great interview with my man Kemba. Shouts to Kemba, shouts to the Bronx, shouts to Rebel Diaz Arts Collective, shouts to New York Hip Hop. And Kemba is the face of a new documentary on Paramount Plus that talks about the use of rap lyrics as evidence. Rap lyrics as evidence. And you can see that on Paramount Plus. It's called As We Speak. We had him on. We had J.M. Harper on, who was the director of the film. And it's sort of a dramatization documentary. So Kemba, who's an amazing recording artist, an amazing rapper himself, plays the part of a rapper himself. Very meta, in a exploration of rap lyrics being used as evidence in court. Let me put this on here real quick. So anyway, we had him. I'm just reminding the folks who are not watching on YouTube, all the good info is happening at YouTube, and we may only stream there exclusively in the future. So let's come on over to YouTube. Check the link right there and hit us up. It's right there. So anyway, so Kemba was on with J.M. Harper, And they talked about the use of rap lyrics as evidence. We know this is coming to the forefront because of like the Young Thug trial here in Atlanta and a bunch of other times that hip hop's been used as lyrics. And there's a big debate over, hey, if you confess to a crime in your song, should it be used as evidence against you in court? What if you confess to a crime you didn't commit, but then you're being charged with a crime and they're using the evidence that, they're using the lyrics that you wrote about a crime that you didn't commit as evidence for this crime that you also didn't commit, and now you're getting bagged up. There's a whole big legal and ethical and artistic and racist discussion about whether or not it's happening. It's definitely happening. It's been happening for a while. Anyway, I say all that to say Kemba will be performing along with some other big names in the intersection of hip hop and social justice. The one and only's, because there's more than one of them, the one and only's Dead Prez will be there. Kiana Parks will be there. Kemba, of course, Tef Poe, who's outside of the St. Louis area, who was very vocal in the Ferguson situation with Mike Brown being killed by police out there, went on to become a Nasir Jones hip hop fellow at Harvard University. So again, artists up in the ivory halls of academia where they need to be. The Reminders, who, if y'all don't know the Reminders, man, all the time people tell me there's nobody making hip hop that's like this anymore, and knowledge and dopeness and keeping it, right and substantive. Look, first of all, these names do. And second of all, the Reminders are so super dope. Husband and wife duo. Check them out. They're out of Colorado, of all places, although Asia's from Queens, and I forget where homie's from. But they're dope. They speak they rhyme in multiple languages. They're married. They got kids. They were like the Tobe and Wigwe and Fat before them. Like, they was doing this already for a long time. And they're super dope. And I saw them so many years ago, and they're dope. Anyway, DJ Ethos, DJ KK47, friend of the fam. A bunch of other folks are rocking this Thursday. This is in Austin, so this is probably part of South by Southwest. So of all the things happening, along with the Center for Popular Democracy, check out this very good show, the House Everyone Viviendas para Todos Music Festival this Thursday out there. So if you're out in South by Southwest doing that, do that. If you're out here at ATL, hey, listen, a few more things and I'm going to get to Jamaal Bowman. We're almost there. Want to let you know what's happening in your neck of the hip hop woods. My man, Minister Server. A lot of people know Minister Server. He's been a proponent, a good advocate for all the great things that hip hop can do for humanity. He's been doing a good series. Well, now it's a series because this will be the second one, where it's called Classic Rap Videos and Convos, where you're viewing and discussing classic rap videos with the new generation. So the idea is, let's get the OGs, let's get the young bucks, and bring them into the same place. Let's play classic rap videos from back in the days. A lot of times either with a social justice edge or some kind of messaging. And let's talk about the issues being raised in that music. Let's connect it to the music of the young folk. I love it. They did it once already at the, and they're all happening at the Auburn Avenue Research Library, which is right there on Auburn Avenue, right down the block from MLK's birth house. Anyway, so this is happening this Saturday, March 16th. And I think it's a monthly kind of deal. Shouts to Minister Server. We're going to get him on this show as well. He's been doing a lot of work in the game for a very, very long time. So Atlanta, it's a nice, cool intersection, nice, cool thing happening in hip hop. You don't see happening every day. Wanted to share that with you. Just announced. Anyway, by the way, I got so many things to tell y'all and interrupt you with, but these are all on my Instagram page. So if you want to get this kind of information, you can sign up for that newsletter. But if not, just follow me on Instagram. If you're not, do it right quick. It's Manny Faces Official. Manny Faces Official. Let me see if I can get a couple more followers. Because what I do is I know all these folks. I see all these things, and I just share them in my stories all the time. So I'm always sharing this information, online. So if you don't follow me already, it's scrolling on the bottom, so you can see it there. Manny Faces Official on Instagram. Just announced the Words, Beats, and Life Festival for 2024. Words, Beats, and Life, if you don't know, is a wonderful organization, a nonprofit that does a lot with hip-hop programs in schools and hip-hop poetry and poetry writing. They have publications. They do festivals. They work with schools. They go across the country, across the world sometimes, and working in conjunction as artist exchanges. That is a dope organization that sort of epitomizes what hip-hop can be doing to uplift and benefit the community. Their annual festival, they have a great festival, many days of, I went last year, many days of panels and discussions and events and arts and crafts, arts and, performances and all the good stuff. It's in DC, so they're in the DC area. So you want to go to wblinc.org/WBLFest. You can sign up, get all information, all their, events and reminders and all that such. I went last year. I think who was there? Wasn't it? Diamond D was spinning, and they had some great panels and discussions, and I really enjoyed it. They unleashed upon the world their publication called the Rap Laureate, which is a pretty decent sized book. I probably have it here somewhere. I don't have it right here. I have it here somewhere. But it basically was celebrating sort of how we have poet laureates that are like, doing all the things and just wonderful artists, but making rap laureates and putting rap, again, on the same level as a poet laureate. The first one was Lupe Fiasco. And I would imagine that they're releasing the Unto the World, the next one at the festival, but I'm not 100% sure. Shouts to our man, Armello Macau Amin, who's been on the show before, who's a part of that program. So anyway, something to know about is out in DC. Let's swing it over to Louisville, Kentucky. Why not? This is a video premiere and block party for the Real Young Prodigies Journey to Eden exclusive video premiere at their block party event. They're looking for young dancers and extras. There'll be an Easter egg hunt and a special performance by the Real Young Prodigies. The reason why I bring them up, I saw them 2 years back, I think, at the Can't Stop, Won't Stop Hip-Hop Education Conference up at Harvard University. This happens almost every year. It's happening this year, May 3rd and 4th, if my memory serves me. It happens at the Harvard Graduate School of Education. It was founded and run by Aisha Upchurch, who's a professor there, at an initiative called the Hip-Hop EX Lab. So it was sort of in the Graduate School of Education. They wanted to build a kind of an organization that would look at using hip-hop to teach kids. And in the Graduate School of Education, you're teaching teachers. So you're teaching teachers to teach using hip hop. And it's a dope initiative. It's a great conference. And a few years ago, I seen these young folks there. And again, when we say there's no young people doing anything that's substantive or, they're all bleh, and you have something negative to say, I'm always here to point you in the right direction because all of these things exist that you ask for in hip hop. Anything you ask for in hip hop, music and culture can be found. And I remembered them, and I saw just tonight as their thing came up that they're having a thing. So check out the Real Young Prodigies. If you're in Louisville, Kentucky, it's a family-friendly event. You want to go there. Two more, and then we're going to do the interview. A beat battle at the Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech has a great community academic relationship when it comes to hip hop. They're having a beat battle there featuring Dr. J. Rolls from The Ohio State University, who was on this show a few weeks ago. And Stimulator Jones, who's rocks with Stone's Throw Records. Just want to remind everyone that all the elements of hip hop exist and are wonderful. And there's things to do if you're a beat maker, a DJ, a graph artist, young people, old people, academic, not academic, there's things for everybody. Check out the beat battle at VTDITC, like digging into crates. VTDITC, digging into crates on Instagram. But again, I'm on Instagram, so if you just follow me, you'll see me sharing all these things. Manny Faces Official. Last but not least, let's take it sort of international. And our man from Atlanta, the Grammy Award-winning Killer Mike, will be at the Vancouver International Jazz Festival. I like Vancouver. I've only been there for like a day, and I felt like I wanted to be there for many more days. If you're from Vancouver, like some of my family's out in that area, shout me out. Let's go. Yes, indeed. Chosen Hip Hop reminds us that, and again, this is where I'm saying, I've talked about this several times, and I can't just keep saying the same things over and over. No, this is great that you brought it up, and I'm going to speak on it just because you brought it up. But that's why folks need to follow the show, watch the show every week, and then also make sure that you're signed up to the newsletter because this is happening, and we've talked about it again. April 5th, Lincoln Center, Fresh, Bold, and So Deaf, an all-day symposium celebrating the achievements and future of women in hip-hop with our good friend Martha Diaz and pioneering female MCs like Shy Rock and more. If you are subscribed to my free newsletter at mannyfaces.substack.com, you'll get all of this for free, delivered to your inbox. So I won't have to keep saying it until I'm out of breath every week. I'll tell you the new stuff, and then you can go back and check out the old stuff. So you never miss a thing. I'm giving it to you all because I am sick with this.
Manny Faces.
You sick for this one.
All right. Now, real quick, because I'm going to run up on time now. I've been talking so much. Like I said, last summer, I was approached by Representative Sydney Kamliger Dove's office. She's a representative from California in the United States House of Representatives. And her and a few other Congress folks were trying to put together a proclamation that would celebrate hip-hop's 50th anniversary. And they did. And it was great. And they reached out to me because of what I'm doing here, because I know all this stuff. And they're like, hey, it'd be cool if you would help us get the wording right. We have some things we want to say. We want to make sure that it's right. We want to ask you your 2 cents, et cetera, et cetera. And so I went back and forth with them over some wording that they had in there that I thought was needed to be adjusted. I'm just going to say it was like a draft, and it's fine. There were some things that needed to be changed, but nothing crazy. And one thing that I insisted should have been included, because it was very much like we had producers and we have rappers and we have DJs and we have graph artists and we have B-boys and B-girls, and they named a bunch of names and they went to a bunch of different parts of the country. And they said, and also hip hop is used in some other ways, like, and there was a couple of other ways. And so what I said was, we need to make sure that it's enshrined in the language of the, House of Representatives, at least 2 main areas that I cover. So many people doing so many great, important things with hip hop intersections, and that's education and healthcare, right? And health and wellness. This show is full of people like that. If you watch the show or listen to me over the past few years. So I said, we have to include that. They agreed, which I thought was lovely. And so those 2 categories of hip hop intersectionality are now in this House resolution. It's HR 602. You could go read it. I don't know if it was ever passed. The resolutions kind of get put on and then they went away for like a break. And I think they had to vote on them. But it's basically just a resolution saying that hip hop's 50th, that we recognize hip hop 50 years. And for the most part, we do, even though there's some discussion about that. But we all kind of agree, generally speaking, that, August 11th, 1973 was the 50th anniversary of hip hop. And that's fine. We chose that date knowing that there's some other things that happened before, during, and after that date that were foundational to hip hop. Anyway, it was a dope thing. That's it. So when I was there, I met a guy named Jamaal Bowman, who, again, is now a representative. Well, was then a representative. He happened to see my shirt that I was wearing. I said, hip hop can save America. And he was like, and I was like, and his people came and got my info because I guess maybe he was working on this. He decided just recently, a couple weeks ago, to launch with a couple of other Congress folk, a hip hop task force to help against inequality in the world, to use the power of hip hop music and culture to help improve the lives and livelihoods and communities of, particularly communities of color and folks from whence hip hop came. And I said, that's very interesting, Representative Bowman. That's exactly what I've been advocating for on Hip Hop Can Save America for many, many years. Why don't you come talk to me about it? And he was like, yeah, let's go. So with that said, let's go. Representative Jamaal Bowman from the great state of New York. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How we doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm glad to be with you. I'm always glad to be in space with New Yorkers. I'm a New Yorker that did that thing that we do when I moved to Atlanta. So I apologize, but I still.
Did you do it before or after Freaknik?
I will not be in the documentary. Do not worry. Some of our friends might be, but we'll see. We'll see when that drops. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate, and it's good to see you again. I know we crossed paths very briefly over last summer. It's good to see you again.
Yes,
if you would, I'd like to start where we're at, and we'll work back a little bit. Obviously, the thing, although we've been on each other's radar possibly, but the thing that caught my attention, of course, was this hip hop task force that's been launched up there on Capitol Hill. If you could, if you would mind, give me maybe a description of the mission of that initiative and what that's all about.
Yeah. First of all, thank you for having me. Good to see you as well. We want to leverage the power, the brilliance, the popularity, the creativity the social justice and political infrastructure of hip hop to build political power here in Congress. We want the entire hip hop community and culture and family to become a quote unquote lobbying group that is pushing members of Congress to do the right thing for the communities we come from. You know, hip hop has always been a voice of the youth, a voice of the struggle, CNN of the streets, if you will, you know, telling the stories that the real CNN or the Western CNN didn't always want to tell. And so, you know, hip hop has always been that, but that needs to be leveraged to create policy change and the investments that we need in our communities. You know, one of the reasons why the stories in hip hop continue to be about so much struggle is because of horrible policies that lead to, you know, continued gun violence, addiction, lack of affordable housing, lack of mental health care, lack of child care, lack of wealth, on and on and on. The stories remain as they are because of the horrible policies that often start in Washington. And so this is about building political power and working within the entire hip hop community, culture, and family to do so.
Yeah, indeed. You know, we talk about, or we hear very often, critique of the music or parts or snippets of the culture that are, you know, shown to, you know, the masses. And that seems to be representative of the entirety of the culture and all that can be. And that's not true. And we always say, when you fix the conditions that create the circumstances where the content comes from, you'll have a better chance at having, you know, more enlightening aspects spread to the masses.
That's exactly right. You know, that's common sense. Don't treat the symptom, treat the cause, right? And so what is at the core causing the conditions in our community? At the core is poverty. At the core is neglect. At the core is marginalization, racism, discrimination. At the core of all that is bad policy and a history of discriminatory policy that has harmed certain communities over others. I mean, we all know that. And so let's use hip hop and work with hip hop to change that.
Yeah. Well, so what does that look like, I guess, in practice? You know, what does the task force consist of? Who's involved? Who do you want to get involved? And what would be sort of the actual steps or things that are happening that task force would be tasked with doing?
Yeah, we need and want everybody and anyone involved. You know, when we talk about building political power, I mean, just look at it this way. There are 535 members of Congress, 100 in the Senate, 435 in the House. Each of those members has to run political races and campaigns to win elections. On the House side, that's every 2 years. On the Senate side, it's every 6 years. So how are we having conversations every day to inform who we're going to support in an election? You know, that's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is what policies are moving through Congress and which ones are not moving through Congress. And how are we engaging with each other to build the infrastructure to lobby and ensure that the policies we want to move forward are moving forward. So it starts with, like I said, we want any and everybody, but it starts with a lot of smaller conversations, right? Smaller conversations here on the Hill, smaller conversations in our living rooms, and then building out the infrastructure from the grassroots up and out so that we can build power in every corner of the country from a grassroots perspective towards, you know, making the policy changes and getting the financial investments that we need in our community. So all hands on deck, but it starts with just a lot of conversations, brainstorming, and then building that out.
As you can tell by what I've named this show, I feel like hip hop has a very unique ability to overall help uplift humanity and improve society. This is one of the ways we advocate and talk about all of the ways here very often. And I'm a leading voice for that in areas including education. And I want to go back a bit, if you would, to kind of how you got to here in your position here before Congress. You, of course, started an academy. You were a principal, so your heart was in education for a long time. If you just let me know kind of a little bit the brief, you know, background of your educational background and why that part is core to what you're doing today.
Yeah, I mean, I worked in education for 20 years before running for Congress. I was an elementary school teacher in the South Bronx for about 5 or 6 years before becoming a high school guidance counselor and dean of students at the High School for Arts and Technology in the MLK campus for 3 years. before writing a proposal and opening my own district public, not charter, district public middle school
Right.
in the Northeast Bronx, where I served as a principal for 10 and a half years. And in that entire experience, I worked in what we call Title I schools. These are schools that are chronically underfunded. And in New York City, they're chronically underfunded and serving mostly Black and brown kids. And by brown, I mean Latino, I mean Arab, I mean South Asian, I mean the diaspora, if you will.
Right.
And so I was always incredibly frustrated, you know, when you compare inner city, for lack of a better term, schools to like schools in the wealthy white suburbs. And those schools had every resource they needed to help their kids thrive and realize their full potential. And our schools and our communities always lack those resources. Now, because of that, that actually gives birth to a lot of our brilliance and creativity, a la hip hop, that we then go on and share with the world. But also because of that, we haven't always benefited economically and socially from the culture that we created, we as people of color. And so, you know, that always frustrated me. And at the same time, we see the consistent harm being done to our kids and families and communities. You know, the year before I decided to run for office, 34 kids died in the K-12 school system in the Bronx, and 17 died by suicide. And there was no real conversations happening in our political infrastructure about the connection between our kids, our schools, and the horrible policy. And so that's when I ultimately decided to run for office after finishing my doctorate in 2019. But I also come from that. You know, I lived in East Harlem. I lived on the Upper East Side. I went to public schools my entire life. I grew up during the crack cocaine epidemic. It impacted my family. And I also grew up during the golden age of hip hop, where KRS-One, Chuck D, Rakim, Big Daddy Kane, you know, X-Clan, were doing everything in their power to give us knowledge of self. And so I actually credit that and my amazing mom towards me becoming an educator and giving me my philosophy, my political philosophy, even before I knew or was aware that that was the case.
Right. Well, yeah, hip hop and good moms birthed a lot of folks doing that kind of work, for sure.
Absolutely.
For sure. And I got to give some props to my dad, another educator, a distinguished professor of sociology, taught for good many decades at SUNY Old Westbury, my dad.
Oh, there we go.
Yes.
Old Westbury.
Old Westbury. Yes, indeed. So
I was just going to say some hip hop came out of that area as well. Some classic.
For sure.
Hip-hop.
I grew up in Westbury, so shouts to Long Island, shouts to Strong Island. Dr. Dre from Yo MTV Rap's mom taught at my school. So yeah, we're ingrained in Long Island.
That's right.
Now, on the education tip, I talk to and I consult with a bunch of educators who either use or want to use hip hop as a tool for educating. And sometimes it's to bring hip hop into the schools as a field of study to learn the history and learn all the different aspects of the culture, but also as a tool for learning other subjects. As I'm sure you know, a lot of hip hop based education initiatives, they center around culturally relevant or culturally responsive and culturally affirmative pedagogy. And that's all important work. And so we advocate for that, and a bunch of people that I talk to as well. Of course, there's always institutional pushback. You have to sometimes just start a whole damn school to get around some of that stuff. There's also states we hear about, like, what's going on in places like Florida, where it's like they may not be down for, hip hop based education anytime soon.
Oh, not at all.
So there's a lot of pushback that we have to deal with, again, for the perception of hip hop and rap having, such a bad reputation. How can these things work their way into policy? We get a little bit frustrated where we say we got to fight so much to just get a pilot program. Educators in a Title I school, we get the funding and the grants, and it's great, but it doesn't always get the Board of Educations to back it. And so it gets frustrating because we want to see these things on large scale. We know they work. We have the receipts, the research, the kids who grow up and become fantastic people. It's all there. How difficult is it, and what do we need to do to make these things happen in policy, either at a statewide level or even federally? How complicated is that to ever, happen?
Yeah, this is where the task force comes into play. And this is where, organizations like the Hip-Hop Caucus and organizations like yours come into play as well. We need people to run for school board at the local level, and let me just take a step back and say this. there are many within the hip hop family and culture and society, if you will, who don't really mess with politics, right? They don't like it. They don't get down with it. They don't trust it. And rightly so, right? Because it's a
For
system
good reason.
yeah, for good reasons, right? It's a system that has not just failed us, but harmed us historically. So we get that. But I think that it's really important for the task force to also engage in civic education and civic engagement to start bringing people in who have decided to stay away from it. And the reason why is we have to be engaged because things don't change in a democracy unless we are engaged. And so the fact that, I mean, take me as an example. You know, I had never run for office before. I did everything I could, you know, for many, many years, learning as much as I could about politics. And then ultimately, you know, I decided one day to run for office, and not just any office, to run for Congress. And I ran for Congress against a 31-year incumbent who was chair of a powerful committee, and we won. We beat him by 16 points. And now I'm in Congress having conversations like this with you and starting something called the Hip-Hop Task Force that looks to build more power. And so we have to be in the game to change the game. You can't stay out of the game and look to change it from the outside. So yes, there needs to be work done on the outside in terms of agitation and organizing and movement building for sure. But we also need to find folks to run for office at the school board level, at the town council level, at the county level, at the state level, and at the federal level. You know, a lot of us, and I'll count myself, I didn't even know what all that was about. Like I knew president, I knew governor, I knew mayor. That's it. I didn't know all these other people who are critical to decisions that are made in our communities every day. And I could tell you right now, there's probably tens of millions of people who, like me, don't have that education. And so this is about, the task force is about creating that civic engagement infrastructure for all of us to learn as much as we can and then run for office. The last thing I'll say is, you know, a lot of these races in these local municipalities, man, people ain't even paying attention. They're not even voting. You know what I'm saying? You could get 100 votes and win a race and be on a school board. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, like once we start leaning in, like in my case, I realized that this guy was in Congress with 20,000 votes in a district that had 450,000 registered Democrats. How does that work? Only 20,000 people are voting, and this guy's in Congress. He's chair of a committee with all this power. No, we got to change that structure. And so it doesn't take a lot, but we got to get in the game to change the game.
Yeah, I hear that. And you know what? It's that education piece that's very often missing, getting that out. And the same thing for hip hop. When we tell people that hip hop does all these great things, sometimes even hip hop heads are jaded these days. You know, we don't think that it has that ability anymore. It's think it's totally been commodified and totally taken over by, you know, capitalist interests. And I'm like, listen, I just sat on a panel in Atlanta about the intersection of hip hop and social justice. And we had some folks on the ground that are doing that work, not as big as, you know, Hip Hop Caucus, but they're doing no less important work. But it's also like pockets here, pockets there. How can we coalesce and get that kind of, at least have a network of folks? So I think that maybe I'm speaking for you, but I think that's something that the task force is maybe well suited for, bringing some of those smaller orgs together that all have these kind of ideas.
Absolutely. We're trying to organize the universe, man. Hip hop is like a Marvel universe. We're trying to organize it because it's, you know, just the artists themselves, man, and the diversity of the artists across time. And as fans, we gravitate towards maybe a handful of artists that almost become like prophets to us, or like messengers to us, who like really guide us in how we live our day-to-day lives. I mentioned those in my life when I was a kid who kind of did that for me. And it exists everywhere in every corner of the country. And so that is the power right there. All of a sudden, you know, we got the Democratic Party, we got the Republican Party, we got the Working Families Party, we got all these parties. Man, one day we could maybe have a hip hop party. You know what I'm saying? And not one day soon, you know, where people are on the platform of the social justice items that we talked about before to win races in their local municipality. And so the sky's the limit to what we can do with it.
Yeah, and what's great about that is it's all inherent in hip hop. You know, it's all at the DNA. Sometimes we don't know how to articulate it, but we all have that, especially folks that are, you know, really truly connected to culture. And what's great about it is it's a multicultural, multi-denominational, multi-generational, inclusive, inviting culture. Probably is more than any other culture I could think of or ever known to exist.
Come on, man. That's exactly, it's the continuation of the civil rights movement. You know,
Right.
we got Jewish brothers, we got Muslim brothers, we got Christian, we got Buddhist, we got Hindu, we got Latino, we got Black, we got all kinds of Black, West Indian, African, right?
Right.
We got all kinds of Latino, we got Asian, we got, it's young, it's older now, right? Because it's 50 years
That's
old.
right.
So you got people like
That's
my
right.
age who's 40, about to be 48, and people who's 12, right? And so
Right.
it's the exact coalition we need to create a revolution here and around the world. And listen, those who are leaning into ceasefire right now, you know, in Gaza, that's hip hop.
Mhm.
Those who are part of the
Mhm.
Black Lives Matter movement, that's hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Like that's who we are.
Right. Yep. That always been. Yep. Amen. 2 questions for you. I don't want to keep it too long. I got 2 quickies for you. One is I also co-produce a couple of other media outlets that are political minded. One actually infuses hip hop into social justice journalism. So we interview folks about these issues that aren't being covered as much by the mainstream news. And we actually invite independent hip hop artists to come and drop 316s over the course of the episode. Yeah, we like to say it's like Democracy Now! And Black Thought had a podcast, baby. It's called Newsbeat. And the other one is run by a really brilliant socioeconomic essayist. That one is, you'll forgive my language, it's called Unfucking the Republic. So my so it's all, you know, kind of left leaning, certainly progressive leaning politics, and they would get at me if I didn't ask at least one political question around all this hip hop talk, which even though it's the same thing. By the time this airs, we'll have heard the State of the Union. Can you give us a state of the progressive union a little bit, and what we can, you know, what progressive minded folks can look forward to this election season, and what we also might need to watch out for, if you could? I know it's a big question. If you could kind of run that down.
Yeah, that is a big question. What progressive minded folks want to hear about and want to see and want to experience? They want more money in their pockets. They want people to be able to afford childcare and transportation and rent and groceries and utilities. Like, affordability is a big, big issue. We still have an economy where wealth is concentrated in the hands of a few, the 1/10 of 1%, and the rest of us are struggling, man. And so we want an economy that's equitable, that works for everyone, where people are earning a prevailing wage. They have the opportunity to organize and form unions if they choose to, so that they can collectively bargain and have prevailing wages and health care and affordable housing. So progressives want to hear a lot more about how the economy is moving in that direction. Progressives want to hear about how are we going to take a diplomatic approach to foreign policy, as opposed to consistently using war and bombs and weapons to kill mostly Black and brown people, including Black and brown babies and innocent women and civilians. And so what's capturing that in this moment right now is the siege and the collective punishment and the bombardment and the humanitarian crisis that's taking place in Gaza right now. So progressives want to see a path forward immediately to a permanent ceasefire and a move towards freedom for the Palestinian people. And we want to see freedom for all people all over the world, whether it's Somalia or Gaza or Yemen or wherever people are subjugated and starving and constantly under attack. And then in connection with that, you know, diplomacy, when we stop investing in war and start investing in our own communities, that's when we know our country is moving in the right direction. And so that is not happening at the level where we need it to happen. We spend $900 billion a year on wars. Like Tupac said, we got money for war, but can't feed the poor. We should be able to provide housing and healthy foods and everything that people need, mental health support, substance abuse support here in our country. And we're not doing enough of that. So that's what we hope to hear and see. We don't know if we're going to hear and see that, because unfortunately, during these election seasons, you know, presidents like to speak to the moderate independent voter, which translates to white people in certain communities. And so that's why young people and people of color continue to stay away from all of this. But we still need to bring them in for sure.
Okay, fair enough. That's a good message. And we can leave on one more question if you don't mind. As you know, like I said, I named this show Hip Hop Can Save America. And it's a lofty goal, but perhaps we need a little bit more than just hip hop. But if you could, your interpretation when I think we first crossed paths, you might have saw the logo, you might have heard about the show, you heard the concept. What did you think of, and what is your, I guess, idea of what that means?
Man, I mean, first of all, it's something that I live and breathe as a child of hip hop. It's
Right.
who I am. So it's like not even foreign. That statement is not foreign to me. It's kind of speaking my language. But KRS-One on the Edutainment album mentioned hip hop as a revolutionary tool to change the structure of racist America. KRS-One mentioned that in 1989, right? And I still believe it is that thing. Music itself, right? Music, the power of sound, vibration, movement, the spoken word, the creativity, it's rooted in our spiritual texts as well, whether it's the Torah, the Bible, or the Quran, right? And so hip hop is a spiritual creation and holds within its spiritual essence. And so when we talk about it as saving America, it's about America regaining its soul as a nation, or finding its soul as a nation, and leading from a moral clarity perspective, as opposed to this policing the earth and punitive and discriminatory perspective. And so that's what hip hop saves America, or can save America, is all about. You know, when I think about it, it's what I feel in my soul. It can happen.
I appreciate that perspective. We share similar feelings about the beautiful culture. So listen, I really want to thank you for your time. I'll actually be up in you're in Washington. I'll be in White Plains this weekend. I'll be doing a professional development for some K through 12 teachers up there. So I'll be,
nice.
I'll be in this stomping grounds. Saturday.
Send us the information. I want to send some staffers there to say hello.
Oh, that's what's up. We could do that. I'll definitely do that. I'll follow up with you. And in
Of
the
course.
meantime, I hope we get to cross paths again. Please keep us updated on the task force, whatever you can use from whatever audience and folks that I have paying attention to me. I'd love to be personally involved as well. We can kick it, sir. We can kick it.
Let's do it. Appreciate you, man. Thanks, Manny.
I appreciate you. Anything else you want to share with the folks, or we're good?
Peace and love, y'all. Make sure you register to vote. Make sure you go out and vote. Do your research on who's running for what, where. Don't just research president. It's not just about president. It's about, members of Congress, state legislatures, county legislators, local municipalities. Spend some time doing your homework on this stuff, y'all. It's critically important.
That's what's up. All right, we'll spread the word. Thank you, sir. I appreciate your time, and I hope to cross paths again soon.
Peace and love.
Manny Faces.
You sick for this one. Sick for this one. Sick for this one.
Damn right I'm sick for this one. Make some noise one time for your man. Manny Faces, kicking it with Representative Jamaal Bowman from New York. If you are watching this and you dug this, let me get you. I only got a few seconds. There's a lot of y'all that have never seen this before. Go to hiphopcansaveamerica.com/watch. Okay, it's going to reroute you to the YouTube page. Some of y'all are watching on Twitter. We are at YouTube. I appreciate the Twitter eyeballs. You want to see more of this? Go there now. hiphopcansaveamerica.com/watch. That's where you get this kind of content. This isn't the first interview. This ain't going to be the last interview. If you like what you messing with, what we're messing with, you messing with, I'm messing with you, go find us there. Secondly, we also have a free newsletter that contains information all about this kind of stuff. That is at mannyfaces.substack.com. If you like what we kicking, if you like this type of talk, whether it's about politics in hip hop, education in hip hop, mental health in hip hop, all the good things that you want out of humanity, we can make it work with hip hop. I'll talk to the folks that are doing that work. mannyfaces.substack.com and hiphopcansaveamerica.com/watch. That's where we want you to go. Subscribe right now. If you like it, give me a thumbs up. Wherever you are, like it, share it, let your people know we out here. We're not playing games. Yeah. How y'all doing? How we feeling in the comments, in the chat? Plus in YouTube, we got some great chat. Appreciate Appreciate all the love. Shouts to Bob Knutson, who is running for not Congress, not yet, but is running for office as a first timer in Wisconsin. Andrew Wang, one of our great supporters out in Yonkers, doing the thing. Natalie Crew, who's always got gems to drop in the chat. Y'all got to be in the YouTube, man. I'm telling you, the type people that come into the chat are also well versed in these topics and will drop gems left and right. Shouts to Tasty Quiche, TK in the building. Shouts to everyone. Business culture with Acer out here. All the people checking in. I appreciate y'all very much. The lavender burgundy thing, I don't know. I'm trying to match the new glasses. I'm trying to get a little vibe going on. So, I hope you appreciate that as well. As I promised, stick around. We're not done yet. 2 guests per night. We hitting you to 1-2 piece combo. Come on, let's go. So listen, I'm gonna get right into it because I know we've been rocking for an hour and we go about an hour and a half usually. So let's get right into it. As I promised you earlier in the show, not just Representative Bowman talking about hip hop and politics and hip hop and education and all the progressive politics and movement built and engineered to, I don't like the level of the playing field. We say that all the time. But, we know that hip hop can uplift humanity and improve society across the board. This is every demographic, every nook and cranny, every type person, every race, religion, culture, creed, all that, because we've seen the receipts. We know that it can work. But perhaps it's most importantly focused at helping uplift the lives and livelihoods and communities that have been traditionally left behind or under-resourced or underfunded or underloved by the rest of humanity, by the white supremacist structure that exists in this country. So while it can help everyone, and it should, and it will, and it does, it's best suited to make sure that those who have been traditionally underserved will get the benefits that they so deserve. That being said, so when we talk about hip hop and education, like we did with Representative Bowman, that's one area. Education can be fixed if we incorporate hip hop from a holistic viewpoint. We've talked about health and wellness. We talk about science and technology on this show. And one area which I love getting into because there's a lot of people who want to know how this industry or this field, this discipline can be better suited through a hip hop mindset, a hip hop mentality, is the world of finances, which always confuses me, and I'm not very good at because you could tell because I'm broke all the time. But that being said, I wanted to bring on someone that I've known for a very, very long time that comes from the world of hip hop, that's come from, as I introduced earlier in the show, the perspective of being systems impacted, being a hip hop head, being a very, 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 very good dude, and has been around a long time and is wound up in the world of fintech, financial technology, startups, venture capital, all the things that I'd like to know more about. So, my man, my mellow, Divine, I'm bringing you to the stage. We're going to get rid of this. We're going to bring you on and we're going to kick it. What up, Divine? I can hear you a little low. Maybe it's just me. It's about the same.
Yo.
Getting a little better.
Yeah?
Yeah, now I got you.
Yeah.
I'm extraordinarily loud, so don't let that, throw you off.
No doubt.
What up, family?
Yo, what's good, my brother? How you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing as well as could be expected. I haven't seen you in quite some time, but it's good to see you right now.
It's been a minute, man. It's
Yes,
great
indeed.
to be here though with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, the privilege and pleasure is mine. As I mentioned, let's start at the end, and then maybe we could go back a little bit. Let's kind of not start the end. We'll start at the now. This ain't the end. It's never the end with you. Nothing ever ends. It's always forward progression. Right? Right now, the reason, I've watched you and we go back and forth all the time, but Solvent is the thing that kind of caught my eye right now. That's, I think, the main project right now, correct?
Yes, indeed.
Let's just tell the people right out the gate, what's Solvent? What are you working on right now? And they'll immediately know why I love you so much and the work you do.
Yeah, well, Solvent is a financial technology company. It's a mobile first, only one banking and financial empowerment platform that's focused on people who are system impacted. So when we say system impacted, what we mean, we break that up into 4 segments. And that's the people who are socioeconomically disadvantaged, people who are formerly incarcerated, the family, friends, and loved ones of the formerly incarcerated and or incarcerated, and the incarcerated. And what Solvent does as a platform is really help them optimize their financial lives, man. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
we do that through different ways by having affordable, tech-driven, personal, financial, and banking tools, products, and services, as well as having a mix of financial literacy and empowerment, content, curriculum, and resources.
Yeah. So what does that look like in practice? What are some of these programs? You know, we've talked here before, and I know that we've talked about the importance of this for two reasons. Number one, regular people, not system impacted people, don't even get the kind of financial literacy education that they need to get through life. Like the schools don't cover this stuff, and you know, and then obviously particularly in communities that get much less attention to any of these issues, and then on top of that, folks who, you know, as you say, system impacted, get into situations in life. We just don't get this kind of information. So that's one hurdle to get over. How is the platform tackle some of those issues?
Well, first and foremost, we look to get them individuals banked, right? That's the first step.
Okay.
Bank account, debit card, and then we have credit repair and building tools as well, so they can because the most people that come from the demographic we're focused on,
Yeah.
individuals come from poverty, right?
Right.
People who have been affected by mass incarceration, whether it's them or their family, friends, or loved one that's been incarcerated before, and
Yeah.
then dealing with the mental health issues of being formerly incarcerated, recidivism, and things of that nature. So we try to address all those type of things. Again, we go back to the credit repair, and when you think about credit repair and credit building, a lot of these individuals have either a low score or no score, or
Right.
or a very thin credit profile,
Right.
right? So we look to empower them around the credit piece,
Yeah.
as well as looking at other different services that can help them, resources. People just coming home, transitioning from being incarcerated, coming back to the streets. How
Yeah.
do they transition and get their financial foundation, back in order? And
Yeah.
that's what Solvent's all about. When you think about Solvent, it's really how I was able to take my personal journey, right, coming from poverty, being incarcerated, as you know, for a decade of my life, and I made a lot of money in my time, right, in the streets. I went to federal prison at 19 years old, and for the most part, you're not going to federal prison unless you're doing something major.
Right.
And I was doing that. And I seen a lot of money, man. But that money never gave me the financial empowerment I was seeking because I didn't have financial literacy. I didn't understand, stocks. I didn't understand these other tools that can help you elevate your financial life or even optimize it. So that's how Solvent is more so just taking my journey and productizing it, if you would. And when I say productizing it, it's putting it in a system and in a process so other people can follow it and say, okay, Devon has success this way.
Right.
Not everybody's going to meet a billionaire like I did, right? As you know, I know we'll
Right.
get more into that, but
Yeah.
not everybody's going to meet a billionaire like I did. So if they can't meet that billionaire, how does Devon take what he's learned from being in that space, bring it back to those in the streets or those that are impoverished, stuck in poverty still, or trying to get out and empower them?
Yeah. What state is Solvent right now? In other words, is this something that's out to the public that can be, you know, used in different parts of the country? You know, just give me an
Yeah.
idea of like how someone would use this or get involved with this if they had a loved one maybe that was just getting out of, getting out of and needed this kind of help.
Yeah, well, this is currently nationwide, so it's
Yeah.
available nationwide. So
Yeah.
we actually go live with our free membership where people can come on the platform and actually learn financial literacy, engage with entrepreneurship education as well.
Yeah.
We have about 5,000 resources that are going to be made available around entrepreneurship, and over 1,000 or 2,000 of content and curriculum, online classes around financial empowerment.
Yeah.
So it goes live in the next few weeks. I'll make sure that I tap in with you and let you know exactly when it goes live. The banking portion will be available in the next 90 days. So people
Okay.
will be able to download the app,
Yeah.
Google, Android, download the app, Google Android and iOS, Apple iOS, download the app, and then create an account, go in there, engage with the free resources, the free content, the free curriculum, sign up for the bank account and debit card, get on a wait list. So we're looking about launching that in the next 90 days.
Got it. So when you say there's a banking portion to it, sort of like not to, I'm just trying to compare. I don't want to say, but like Greenwood, like that kind of banking not a bank, but like you know what I mean? Yeah.
We're a neobank, what they call a neobank. I like to
Yeah.
say we're a super neobank.
Understood.
And we're a super neobank because we have a comprehensive platform. We
Right.
just don't give you a 1 point product of a bank account and a debit card.
Right.
And
Right.
when we really think about a bank account and debit card, those aren't financial empowerment tools. Those are utility tools, right? They make your financial life more efficient. They make it more convenient, but they don't give you financial empowerment. And really, when we look at people coming from this demographic and the target audience, these are people that really need financial empowerment,
Yeah.
right? And so when you think about Greenwood is something similar to what Solvent is, but Solvent's more niche focused, right? We're
Mhm.
focused on people. If you about it, we're focused on people who are the lowest of the low, right? The people that banks don't want to deal with. But once
Mhm.
you get on Solvent's program, once you utilize our platform, you're going to turn into somebody that the banks are definitely going to want, right?
Mm.
And that's what it's
Right.
about. And
Right.
to add one last thing onto that,
Sure.
when you look at neobanks like Greenwood and these other ones that are out, remember this is something I started working on in 2014.
Right.
Right, 2014, I started working on this, but we were doing prepaid debit cards as an alternative to the rush card, and we wanted to have
Right.
a social impact component, and that was around the financial literacy and the entrepreneurship education. So I was 5 years early of thinking about what a neobank could possibly be,
Right.
such as what Greenwood and others are doing.
Yeah, that's strange. It sounds like you're saying that the rush card really didn't actually help people. Anyway, just moving along. I'm just my own 2 cents. But no, I appreciate that. Having that, obviously, that we say niche focus, but it's an important one because it's folks that don't get that specialized attention. They have very unique needs and very unique concerns that the rest of the banking population, right, wouldn't necessarily be concerning themselves with. So it's important that that focus is there. Otherwise, they get swept up and it's not even helping them directly. It's not helping them specifically, right?
Exactly. No,
Yep.
absolutely. You hit it right on
Yeah.
the head.
Yeah. Folks who are listening, by the way, my good friend Devon, who I've known for a while, you might have heard him just casually throw out there that he met a billionaire. Because most of us do, right, at some point or another. But that's actually a really interesting twist, a really interesting part of the story. It's I don't say it's how you got here. You were obviously, doing a bunch of important things leading up to this place. But tell the story of meeting a billionaire and how that kind of changed the direction of what you were doing.
Yeah. So, wow. Found myself incarcerated yet again after dealing with recidivism for years.
And you grew up where? Just to let people know, you were where?
I was born in Newport, Rhode Island, and then Brooklyn's my second home, New York City,
Yes, sir.
and I ran through there heavily, so connecting my peoples out there.
Yep.
So anyway, I was incarcerated about 10 years ago, actually 12 years ago, my last time incarcerated, and I became 100% dissatisfied with my life. And when I started doing that introspection, I started saying, what am I going to do with my life? I always felt that I was destined for something greater than just being incarcerated and,
Right.
and living out crime culture, because that became my culture. Crime was my culture.
Yeah.
Anyway, did that, and I said, you know what? I really like the process of making money. I've always been intrigued with the financial world. I never understood it, but I knew that you could become highly successful in it and with it. And I always wanted to dig into that. But at that point, I wasn't thinking of the financial world. I was just thinking, how could I just change my life? And I came across an article about this famed Silicon Valley venture capitalist and billionaire named Ben Horowitz,
Yep.
and how he used hip hop to teach business lessons to his employees. So that intrigued me immediately. And then what also intrigued me about him was the fact that he was a venture capitalist, was a billionaire, and he was in the financial, not the financial, but the technology space. And I didn't see how those connected with hip hop. You know what I mean? Hip hop comes from the struggle, from the pain, from poverty, from negativity, in the sense of the environment you live in, and
Right.
you trying to get out and use hip hop to get out of that. And I was intrigued by that. I came home, reached out to him on Twitter. To make a long story short, asked him to mentor me. We became fast friends, and that man just changed the whole trajectory of my life.
Yeah.
I was exposed to Silicon Valley. I was exposed to venture capital. I was exposed to, formal entrepreneurship. as well as startup building, high growth startup building in the technology space, and that was it. And as I got known for that, when I entered the technology space, I started framing my story. Whenever I did interviews, I would frame my story from crack to rap to tech. And when you look at my life and my story, and those are the three major things in my life that have guided me throughout my lifetime. You know,
Mm,
from crack was with my mother's drug addiction,
right,
right? Um, from the crack to rap. To rap was more so when I got incarcerated, honed my skills and had a determined idea to become a professional hip hop rap recording artist. And
right,
not just anyone, but one of the best ones.
right,
And that was what I set my mark at. So I not only that, but I also learned the music business while incarcerated.
right,
Started my own record label when I came home because I wanted to be able to have creative control, make the most money off my art, and own my masters. So these
right,
are things I was thinking about
right.
incarcerated long before
Before it
people actually was,
became
yeah,
right,
before
of
people were
course,
actually executing on it, right?
ahead of the
So this
curve.
is how always, man. That's how I've always
Yeah,
been.
yeah,
So with that being said, from crack to rap, and then to tech piece came when I met Ben, when I learned
yeah.
about Ben and connected with him.
Yeah, well, and he's known for a bunch of early startup successes. Just so people know, like what it's Anderson, Horowitz, and
Andreessen
Yeah,
Horowitz
I always get it
VC
wrong, but
firm.
it's
Yeah,
foreign,
yeah,
so
it's
I'm
all right.
allowed
Yeah,
to. Yeah,
no doubt.
he'll be mad. Don't be tell Ben. Ben don't know me, but
Yeah.
tell Ben my apologies. I got the Horowitz part right, so come
Yeah,
on, right?
Horowitz. Yeah, right.
So what was some of the what are some of the things that they've been involved with
Um,
that
I mean, Facebook is a major one. Twitter
yep.
as well. Um, you know, a lot of these companies in the technology space that have been going on to become unicorns. Coinbase is a good one. When we talked
Mm,
in crypto,
mhm,
Coinbase is another one, right?
yep, yep,
Um, yeah, they were in early in all these what they call high growth technology startups,
yeah, yeah,
and that can go on to become $1 billion valuated companies or
yeah. I mean,
multi-billion-dollar valuated companies.
yeah, and I mean, the story. It sounds cliche, right? Because it's like, here's a guy who you wouldn't think, could be smart and no, but of course, because the things that you got to go through to survive in the circumstances and da 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 doesn't negate the fact that you could be brilliant. Like you're a brilliant dude. You were brilliant in the streets. You were staying alive, doing things that took a lot of managerial skills, let's just say, a lot of quick on your feet thinking, a lot of improv, and a lot of determination, all the things, right, that they say you have to
Yeah,
have.
yeah.
So but given the opportunity to say, wait a minute, I still have this penchant for, seeing the money making opportunities, but my legit way, let me learn the music business and start the label. Wait, hold on, let me get in the technology thing. My whole like philosophy here is sort of like the hip hop mindset. Certainly, coming up in situations like you say, what you deal with your mom and the time and the place where you grew up, like that all instills sort of genius ways of thinking into our young people, and they get very often thought of as not being capable of doing those things. So you're not a unicorn in that fact, in that sense, in that a lot
Yeah.
of young people, a lot of folks who have these abilities just got to be given the right chance to the right situation.
I mean, yeah, you hit it right. I wouldn't go so far as say the genius. I think we all have genius capabilities.
Right.
But I'll say I'm very innovative.
Right.
I have a real unique perspective of how I approach everything I've ever done in my life. I've always been ahead of my time in that sense. Always mature for my age. Always learning from older individuals than myself. So I learn fast. I learn to pick up and adapt, and I learn to master my environment, no matter where that was, whether that was in the streets, with my mother on crack cocaine, and trying to figure out how do I make money, what resources do I have to leverage to do that, to go into prison. How do I maintain in prison? How do I I turn my prison experience into my university, right?
Right.
It became my university where I learned the things that I learned, and I really focus on spirituality. And of course, the second thing was the music business.
Right.
And then finally, I'm now in the financial technology space, building this company. But yeah, you hit it right on the head, man. It's like we don't have a lot of resources where we come from, and we have to be very, very innovative in our approach to how we survive and how we thrive and make money, man.
Yeah, I mean, you look at other folks that we know of and know personally, folks like Nas, for example, who have
Yeah.
who have gone in this direction where those life skills are transferable. Is what I'm saying. It's what I'm getting at
Exactly.
here. The life skills are
Yeah.
transferable.
Without a
You know,
doubt.
Nas, like what's like the idea that transition from those worlds to those worlds are transferable. Same thing you're realizing, right?
No, absolutely. Nas is somebody else that's connected to Ben. He
Yeah.
actually met Ben like a year before me, I believe, whatever it was. But Ben was very instrumental to Nas's entering the technology space and doing the investments he and the success he's had in that space with Queensbridge Ventures and
Yeah.
so on. So salute Nas, of course.
Of course.
Was just with him and Ben out at the Super Bowl weekend. So you know what I
Nice.
mean, gotta salute them.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
yeah, definitely like that transition, like coming from, the projects, coming from the streets, taking those skills, and you like you said, they're very transferable.
Yeah.
In the streets, I was somebody who I had to source product. I had to
Right.
package product, right? I had to manage all these different components to making money. I wasn't just a lower level type of dude. I was
Right.
more in a managerial role. And I was dealing with people like 10 years my age, you know what I mean?
Right.
At the time I got knocked at 19. So
Yeah.
people were way older than me. But I took responsibility for what I did and did my time and kept it moving, man. But I've never
Yeah.
been someone to let my prison experience define who I am.
Yeah, for
Like, you know what I
sure.
mean? If
Yeah.
you met me, you know me. If you met me, you could never tell I did a day in prison,
Right.
right?
Right.
Because I'm that thoughtful about, who I am and who I'm trying to become. I
Yep.
can't stay stuck in that, and I gotta keep elevating and building. So
Yeah, indeed. And that's I think they always say no one's defined by, the worst thing they did, or no one's defined by but you still take those experiences and obviously use them to mold and shape and move. To younger people, I imagine you talk to young folk a lot, or you get these opportunities to at least, maybe as a mentor, or at least, speaking to young kids. For those of us that aren't sure, a lot of folks here are educators, or who listen to the show, whatever, are educators, sometimes they're school counselors. What, I guess, I don't know, gems, lessons do we pass on to the young folk who might feel like they're in a world where financial success, and certainly to the level of technology, finance, venture capital, all that stuff is so foreign to them. They just don't get the exposure to that, but they're no less capable of ending up there, as you know. What do we say to them? How do we guide them? How do we, do what little we can with our little, connections to young folk particularly?
I think we living in no better time than to take advantage of technology and leverage
Mm,
that to really become self-made. I mean, there's so many directions and avenues you can go to to become successful, become financially empowered, and be able to build wealth.
yeah,
uh, it's astronomical the abilities that technology has given us
yeah,
to reach that highest level that we can think of and dream of. So all I can say is that take advantage of everything that's out there.
yeah,
Knowledge is a foundation, and there's no shortcut to knowledge, especially knowledge learned through experience. So
right,
dig in, dive in, and really don't be afraid. Like if you can conceive it, you believe it, then you can achieve it. I always
yeah,
say that, think and grow rich. You know what I mean?
right,
Simple. You know what I'm
right,
saying? Conceive it, achieve it, conceive it, believe it, achieve it. And I've always lived by that, right?
right,
Whatever thought I had in my mind, I've always been successful in all my undertakings because I always took that thought and I always built on top of it. You know what I
right,
mean? It's not
right,
gonna happen overnight. When you
right,
see these so-called overnight successes, that's 10 years, 20 years in the making.
for sure.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
never overnight success,
right,
but it's all about taking those steps one step at a time. Like I think Sun Tzu said, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. So that's what it is. Take
yeah,
that step. Don't be afraid. And I think everything that you fear, everything that you desire in life is on the other side of fear, right?
mm,
I didn't
mm,
just I didn't just I didn't just come out having confidence. I didn't just come out having these
right,
different things. I leveraged my DNA intelligence from my mother and my father, but I still
right,
had to go through life and learn and adapt and master different environments, man. I had to build up the high self-esteem. I had to build up the strong self-confidence that allowed me to walk through these doors. It's
word,
funny because speaking of confidence,
yeah,
um, people would always ask me like, "Oh, I can't believe you reached out to Ben. That's crazy. This, that, and the third." But I said, "I can't believe you didn't." You know what I mean? I can't.
Right.
I can't believe you didn't. If you can't believe I did, I can't believe you didn't.
Right. Well,
But
why didn't you? Why wouldn't
right?
you?
They
Right.
just. But that shows you the level of fear they have.
I get it.
And when I reached out to Ben, I just seen him as a human being. I didn't see him as a venture capitalist. I didn't see him as a billionaire. Even though I knew these things about him, I connected with his spirit first on hip hop.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
just how and just on how he approached life. You know what I mean? I identify with it. And I reached out, man.
I think the first time I heard of him was through that same article, like that same, like, here's some business, because he's a hip hop head and he recognizes, and again, like we talk about here, he recognizes all these traits and characteristics that hip hop, or being a hip hop, being part of hip hop culture, gives you by nature. Like, just, it's there, it's part of it, that creativity, the remix culture, make something out of something else, get in through the back door. You can't get in through the front door, so we get in through the back door. We can't buy the turntables, so we gonna steal them.
You know what it is. You know what it is.
The record skipping, put a nickel on top of the needle. Like, everything about hip hop was these kind of.
We got no electricity. We gonna plug it to the lamp pole. You know what I mean?
From day one.
Man.
From day one.
From day one.
And so when people recognize that, not as a, I do a whole. Actually, I should tell you, I got to talk to you offline, but I do a whole keynote called "Hip Hop Can Hack Everything," and it's aimed at the tech audience. And so it goes through the history of hip hop's connection with technology and all the things that hip hop has innovated technologically. And including, like you said, just the day one, electricity in the the Park Jam, all the stuff Grandmaster Flash did with the quick mix theory, all the stuff that happened in all these years. And it's like, now I look at hip hop. I've always looked at hip hop I've been one of them. Every DJ is an engineer. Every DJ is a low key engineer. You know what I mean? We fix things. Things don't work. We find a way to do. So I recognize that ingenuity, and it's like, why wouldn't you come to the hip hop generation? Why wouldn't you come to someone that has that in his heart, that remix, that get by, that make $1 out of 15 cents mentality? That's just what we should be doing off rip.
No, I definitely agree, man. And that's why I got so much love for Ben. Not only because he changed my life and blessed me and opened up this new world to me,
right?
But because he's authentic, he's genuine.
Yeah.
He's really real, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in every sense of it, from top to bottom. He's a thorough dude, and I respect and admire him a lot. And so big up to him, man.
Yeah, indeed. Love it. We gotta get him on the show. Long overdue. But yeah, in the meantime, so now listen, I won't keep you all night. I appreciate you you hitting, I don't know where you at these days. You be all over the place. Your frequent flyer miles is up. So I don't know where you at. You might be in Dubai for all I know. I don't want to keep you up all night. Tell me once again, I love Solvent because friends might know he passed a little over a year ago. My brother from another mother was in and out of the system for many, many years. I went through it with him. I was, helping him work on his case and taking the calls and doing all the things, so I did that for, well over a decade, so I personally know what it's like. We have a lot of friends and family that have family members that have been impacted. And we're not just talking about being incarcerated, foster system, like you said, just being poor and having to negotiate the government services and all that stuff. It's such an important and I don't say a neglected group of folks. So this is important to do. This is important to get the word out to folks so that they know this is available. What's next for Solvent? How do we look into it more? Like, once again, how do we spread the word about it? And who can this, once again, just tell the folks who might be tuning in late, who's this really going to help benefit, and how can we help make that happen as friends and family of folks who have been going through these things?
Yeah. I just think, all across the board, man, Solvent's all about financial empowerment. You know what I mean? So we have all the tools, resources on the website, www.justsolvent.com, JUSTSOLVENT.com. We just got into an accelerator with Visa, so we just partnered with Visa. So we're looking forward to finishing that, and and we raising capital right now. So we just looking forward to really building Solvent out to something that, in my mind, it was something that I would have wanted to have when I came home.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah. Even Tony Blackman, I think in here. I don't know if you know Tony Blackman. Said somewhere in here, I wish I had this when I left home at 17.
Exactly. I feel the same way. Like, I wish I had financial literacy, financial intelligence. I was never exposed to that, unfortunately. So all the money I made, which I was trying to make it to get out of that poverty, it didn't benefit me.
Right.
It just put me in prison. You know what I mean?
Right. Piles of money isn't the answer.
Yeah.
Prism, Chosen Zulu says financial literacy is a key component in knowledge of self. That's why they highlight it as the number one aspect to help you develop from day one in their knowledge of self discussions. You know what that's about.
No doubt. All day, every day, man.
Yep. And we're just getting a lot of love in the chat. A lot of folks saying this is great. This is really important, and we want to know more about it, be able to spread the word, and it's something that like I said, we know. Nope, that's the wrong banner. I'll figure it out, man. I'm the only one pressing these buttons. We'll get more people to know about it. JustSolvent.com, right?
Yes, sir. JustSolvent.com.
All right, my man.
Freedom.
Yeah. No, I really appreciate it. I'm glad we finally linked up. I could talk to you every 6 months. Not to say that you be entrepreneur hopping, because you still, the stuff, you don't just walk away from a project. Everything leads up to a new one.
Yeah.
You still do music though? I'm asking. I'm wondering.
Yo, so I'm gonna let it be known right here in your podcast, because it could be no better than let it know on your podcast. I am getting back into music. Not in the sense of, as a profession, because I'm already a professional. It's what I do.
Right.
I've always done it. It's my first love.
Facts.
But it more so to really drive the marketing and push and the adoption of Solvent to the younger generation, and just really spread the word. So I'm getting back in the lab. I'm working with a few people. We in talks right now. Of course, my man Tragic Gaddafi, he's gonna be on deck, no doubt. Phantom of the Beats, just linked back up with him. He did 50 Cent and Lil Ken's Magic Stick.
That's right.
He also did my joint I did for Ben Venture Capitalists, like Ben Horowitz.
Yeah.
So anyway, just tapping into all my connections and looking to do this project, man. Come back and do what I do, man.
Yeah. This show's called Hip Hop Could Save America. So, we always have to figure that people with the sort of the hip hop mindset, as Toby Jennings calls it, this hip hop mindset helps us take the things that are out there that exist and, flip it, right? Remix it, make it our own. And I guess that's you're sort of a textbook example of it. So,
created something from nothing. I call it Magicnomics.
Yeah. There you go. That's what it is. Devon, anytime you got something to talk about, just hit me up, man, and we'll spread the word about it.
Appreciate you, brother.
All right, man. Let's cross paths in real life soon, now that there's no pandemics and stuff. It's been a minute. My friend.
Peace.
All right, brother. Be safe.
Peace, brother. Peace.
All right, once again, Devon, my man Devon from JustSolvent.com. Check out that platform. Share it with the folks that you might know that need that kind of assistance. As I said, it touches me to my heart. My brother, y'all might know as Coleman, if you know me personally, passed away about a year. And I passed away a year after he got out. And that happens sometimes because, when you get out, you're not necessarily stable. You're trying to make it work. You're working, but maybe you're overworking. You're not connected with healthcare, which costs money. You're not connected with your family necessarily. You might be stressed because of your family connections, and things might be, you're trying to get back. You're trying to come back after a long time away. It's very important cause to me personally. So I would have certainly loved this program, but now that it's here, let's spread the word about it. My man Devon, who's always on the sort of intersection of hip hop, technology, and finance, and those are three areas I love. I love the combinations. You know what I talk about here on Hip Hop Could Save America? All the things, all the intersections, all about the wonderful ways that that hip hop could save America. So that's once again the latest of my hip hop news that isn't about dumb shit.
Hip hop news that isn't about dumb shit.
Ooh-wee. We had a lot of folks on tonight that I don't normally broadcast on Twitter. So if y'all watching on Twitter, I see y'all, and I hope y'all not bots. But come on over to hiphopcansaveamerica.com/watch. That's the YouTube channel. That's where we're kind of home based for the most part. I did put this out on different channels because I knew how important speaking of Jamaal Bowman would be. Where's my top overlay? What's happening over here? Dang, man, just things fall apart over here. Weird. Anyway, yeah, that should be seeing it. There it is. Oh, you didn't see it. Yo, that's so weird. Anyway, I won't figure this. I'm not gonna figure this out with y'all at the same time. Hopefully you see everything you need to see. But come over to YouTube, hiphopcansaveamerica.com/watch. We are live here every Monday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern. Oh boy, y'all, I'm trying over here. I'm not sure what's going on. But we're here every week, Monday nights live. 9 p.m. Eastern. I wasn't even supposed to be here next week because I was supposed to be somewhere else, but I am going to be here next week. So we got another 2 guest episode. Folks who are using hip hop to help improve society and uplift humanity, especially when it comes to our young people, especially when it comes to uplifting their lives, livelihoods, and communities that have been traditionally underserved, underloved, underappreciated, underfunded by the rest of society. So obviously communities of color, marginalized communities from whence hip hop came, who gifted the world with this beautiful multicultural, multinational, multi-generational, multi-ideological, beautiful culture called hip hop, gifted it to us. And so it is incumbent upon us of that culture, and especially those who are not of that culture but have the ability to help that culture thrive. You don't have to be of hip hop to help hip hop. You don't have to be a capitalist, money grubber to, that wants to start a hip hop label and make rap music so they can make a lot of money and just keep dishing out, content that's not necessarily the greatest for our youth to ingest. That's not necessarily helping hip hop, right? That's being part of it, but not really helping it help us. So what we like to highlight here, what I like to highlight through this show and through my newsletter and all the work that I do, is the folks who are using hip hop to help uplift humanity and improve society. So if that's you, if that's what you like, if that's what you want to learn more about, you're in the right place, as you saw tonight. I don't know why I can't keep this overlaid, but I'm going to lose it. Oh, no, it's back. Yay. Shouts to everyone on the chat. Thank you for great interviews regarding political awareness and financial literacy, very important topics that directly affect the hip hop community. 2 very represented issues, topics, as you say, as well. Certainly, if you're a news hound, I'm a news hound. I watch the news. I pay close attention to mainstream news. I do podcasts that are focused on news. But the hip hop angle helps because it's much more aligned with how a lot of us see the world. And as you just spoke about with Divine, to me, the best innovators in the world, that's why I did this show. That's why I did educators, health and wellness, science and technology, financial technology. These are innovations that wouldn't have happened if it weren't for the fact that these people are hip hop heads. They got hip hop in their soul. That's part of it. It's part of it. I stand by that. I stand on business. Shouts to Ada Johnson, aka Ms. Thursday. Check out the BPM podcast. Once again, Bob Knutson, I should have asked. I didn't see this till now. I wonder if county services could partner with Solvent. I will follow up and find out about private, what do they call it? Private public partnerships. So is this something that governments or as you say, county services, typically thought of as I guess welfare services. That's what you're talking about, right? But can partner up with them to at least pass that information along. Tony Blackman, thanks for being here with us tonight. Shouts to Silent Night, my man, my mellow. Silent Night, as you know from the last episode edition of the newsletter, losing my words, put out new music, got new music out. Silent Night works with me on Newsbeat, is a long-time brilliant artist. Tony Blackman also got music out, of course, and is doing a bunch of events as well. If I say someone's name and say they do great things, I think you should know by now. Look up that person and find out what they do, because I am really, really good at knowing dope people. Charlotte Michelle, CM in the building, just passing the ball. They're ready. I think going back to the fact that I talked about innovation lives in a bunch of folks that come from these communities that are overlooked and come from hip hop culture, which is underestimated. And this is all I talk about. And I count myself very lucky, as privileged as I might be or present or be able to, go walk through the world. I consider myself extremely lucky, honored, privileged, and blessed that I came across hip hop and that I met people and became part of that culture and follow that culture. And the smartest people I've ever met are freestyle rappers and Freestyle Mondays. The most creative people I've ever met are, hip hop artists who are doing this kind of work. The most innovative people I've ever met are folks that are intersecting hip hop with different areas of society. It's the reason I could get through life without a degree. No, yes, I'm sure I have my advantages and my privileges, but I also shunned a bunch of stuff to kind of do it my way. Hashtag no Frank Sinatra. But I did it my way because I wanted to do it sort of the hip hop way. I said, no, we shouldn't be doing it like this. I'm not going to follow your rules. My dad was a college professor, for God's sakes, and I didn't go to college because that's not the way that makes sense for me. And so when I look at culturally relevant pedagogy and I look at all these concepts where we're saying, let's listen to the kids, let's listen to what they're coming with, let's listen to their culture, their music, we can't turn our backs. We have to listen to them and work with them and find out what works for them and then help manifest that. And then you get this ingenious ingenuity that helps save America, possibly even. So yeah, thanks everyone that's tuned in. That's it for this week. I got nothing else. I got no other guests. Ada says, thank you so much for all that I do. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. If you are able, not you particularly, just in general, anyone who might be watching on Twitter, even though I think you're all bots, I hope you come over to hiphopcanssaveamerica.com/watch so I want to see my YouTube subscribers go up. Anyone watching right now on YouTube, y'all understood the assignment. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure your notifications are turned on. I usually don't pop up and give you something. What I do is I take the interviews from the live stream and I put them up. So you'll want to know about those just so you can that's what I like people to share. Most people are not going to rewatch the whole live stream, although some people do. But like, I'm going to put Jamaal Bowman up and I want y'all to share that because that's a nice self-contained interview. But if you're watching on YouTube, you understood the assignment. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure your notifications are turned on. Thumbs up. Give it a thumbs up right now. Come on, do it. Stop, reach for your phone. I know you hear me, and you're in the bath with some strawberries and a glass of Chardonnay. Natalie, crew, I know how you do. I know your whole spa vibe. I know how you get down. And then you're going to watch Jimmy Kimmel. I don't know if that's true. You're probably not going to watch Jimmy Kimmel. I know, not you. Somebody might be. Some of y'all might be. Anyway, point is, like the video, damn it. Tell the algorithm we're doing something important. If you're on Twitter, come over hiphopcanssaveamerica.com/watch, subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you know we're not always going to broadcast over to Twitter. I told you a bunch of stuff in the beginning of the show that's coming up. All these great events in New York and Texas and Kentucky and Atlanta and Vancouver. So I'm not going to repeat all of those. A personal note, I have said in past episodes that I would have been at the Hip Hop Youth Research and Activism Conference, which would have been happening this coming Saturday, the 16th at Fordham University in the Bronx. They've postponed that, that conference. It will be happening. They're thinking sometime in April. So stay tuned. It's a really great, when I say youth run, I don't mean kids, but I mean like young college students that actually run an academic conference. That's a connection of hip hop and research and activism. So again, when we hear people say hip hop don't have that no more. Ah, man, I'm not even gonna get into it. You know how I like to rant at the end. I'll probably put it together as a piece, either a written piece or a video piece. But I'm seeing a lot of like big names out there that are lamenting or talking about sort of hip hop losing its relevancy. There was one thing I saw tonight, which was something about because it's so open sourced and available, like too much of it, like too easy to make hip hop, too easy to be hip hop, too easy to be involved in hip hop means that it's worth less and less. And this goes back to something that I was speaking on a few weeks ago that got me in trouble on Facebook with some people when I said hip hop is trying to outgrow being music. And I didn't mean that we can't look at hip hop as music anymore. It's certainly still a genre and it's an evolving genre. And I don't care if you don't like today's hip hop. It's still, there's still people doing your kind of hip hop. Just open your eyes, look, you have Spotify, find them. We're not going to relitigate that right here. But I am going to say that the fact that it's open source and so available means that so many people are attached to it. That makes it more relevant. The trick, though, is that when I say it's trying to outgrow music, is that hip hop's real power. As I wrote in, I don't have it, as I wrote in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, which you can find a link to on my website, mannyfaces.com, that we are underestimating the true power, the true effectiveness, and the true gift of hip hop culture. if all you do when you, it was a podcast. Oh, Q Points. I love Q Points. DJ something Ray. I forget the name. And they had this conversation. I want to delve into it. I'm not calling it out. I haven't listened to it. So don't tell me that don't come at me. I'm saying I don't know. But the question, I guess, was, the discussion was, has it lost its relevancy because it's so available? My counter to that would be, no, it's even more relevant than ever. Because as Representative Jamaal Bowman from New York said, you could talk to someone who's 60 and you could talk to someone who's 12 if you just speak multi-generational hip hop as a language, as an ethos. I can't think of anything else, as I've often said, that connects as many people from different demographics, age groups. You can go anywhere in the world. I think Tony Black, I always say this, and I don't know who to attribute to, but Tony Blackman might have said this in one of her talks, that you could pick me up and drop me anywhere in the world. Not in the ocean, that'd be stupid. Where there's people. In any country, anywhere, I don't have to look the same. I don't have to speak the same language. I don't have to dress the same. I don't have to be the same political ideology. I don't have to be the same religion, I think I said. And I could find hip hop. I could find hip hop, and maybe it's Mikal Amin who also said this, but basically I can find a friend. I can find a community. I probably could find a place to sleep that night. But without knowing anything about anything, just that hip hop, we recognize it, we see it. What else can you say that happens? Well, music, sure. Rock and roll, because these are genres and there's sort of a culture attached to them. I don't even say culture, it's not the right term. There's a lifestyle attached to those things, but not like hip hop. Not like hip hop, I'm telling you. So if nothing can bring people together like that, if nothing can have a 60-year-old and a 12-year-old have something in common. I got a 9-year-old, bro. And trust me when I tell you, we have things in common because I pay attention to what she sees on TikTok and she pays attention to what I do on this show. And believe me, we can have these conversations. So I know that it's available. And again, Hip Hop Youth Research and Activism Conference, all the things we talk about on the show, all the people that we have in the show, proves it every day. So I'm just saying that we have the key to solve a lot of these problems, or at least alleviate them. I think that's what I was trying to say. I lost my point in my rant. Oh, right. No, Natalie Crew, always Natalie Crew to the rescue. If you continue to use radio as a litmus test, as well as the Walking Dead-esque mainstream media platforms, your assumptions will be forever skewed and misinformed. That's the point. The point is that it's more relevant, more effective, more life-saving than ever. And people don't get it because all they tend to do, we all fall into this trap of the first thing we think of when we hear hip-hop is rap music, usually rap music on the radio, and then nothing else. That's the trap. And that's Dr. Umar. My criticism of Dr. Umar went all into this. What has hip-hop done to the black community? I just gave you 30 examples of what hip-hop can do to uplift the black community. But you're thinking of the music, and you're thinking of a very small segment, a sliver, a narrow window of the music. That's not hip-hop. That's just your narrow vision of it. And that's not hip-hop. It's it's like looking at one channel on cable, finding nothing to watch and saying TV sucks. You can't, that's not hip-hop bigger than that now. So anyway, that's the point. The relevancy is bigger than ever. The effectiveness is bigger than ever. It's saving lives in mental health settings where traditional mental health therapy couldn't. It's raising educational success in educational settings where traditional Eurocentric, white supremacist, unculturally sensitive education has never been able to. And down the line. So if all of this makes sense to you, please help me in any way you can. I had the Patreon up there before. I didn't say anything about it. I just had it. I was quietly saying you can support this show and this work at patreon.com/Manny Faces. It helps. It doesn't take much. Every little bit helps. I hate asking for it. I don't want to work with too many organizations that could fund me because I want to talk my ish when I have to. And so I can't be down with somebody that, may not be treating us right. Imagine I'd gotten down with Revolt and then all of a sudden you see what happened with their CEO. I don't know. I'm wary. So can this be for the people, by the people? I go on Substack all the time. I go on Patreon and I see like people getting like paid by supporters. I was talking to somebody the other day. They were saying, what does hip hop need? We were talking about hip hop. I did a PD, professional development, for a bunch of K through 12 teachers. I'm doing that now. About how hip hop can help engage, but also engage students in STEM fields, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, right? How hip hop can help, particularly communities of color, but anywhere across the board, pay more attention, get more involved in technology topics, fields, subjects of study. And, we talked about all these wonderful resources that are available online. Free resources. Shouts to my people at Breakbeat Code, who I talked about. Shouts to my, eternal thanks to associate producer Summer McCoy of Hip Hop Hacks. And one of the instructors says, yeah, that's all great, but we also don't have access. Like people, some people don't have stable internet connections. Not everyone has a laptop. A phone doesn't always cut it. Everyone has a phone now. Even everyone has a phone. But that doesn't always cut it. And I said, no, you're right. And I said the same thing that happens when we try to fund some of these hip hop programs, but schools won't pay for them. They won't sign on. They don't get it. So we can't do them. I'm doing all this for free. Like all this is for free. No one's paying me to do this. No big company supporting me. But not everyone can do that. And we want to make sure that these programs come to life. And they said, what's going to be the answer? And I said, it's philanthropy. I said, ballet doesn't exist if not for philanthropy. No one cares about ballet. Not that many people care about ballet, but not that many people. Summer, I'm sorry. I know, Summer, if you're watching, I know ballet, yay. Not many people care about ballet to be able to support it or fund it. It's done through philanthropy. And that's sometimes on an individual level until we can get to the point where the Ford Foundation and, these giant foundations will recognize what we're doing. So we have to make a little bit of noise, interview some politicians. Give me one time. Come on. Right? Interview some politicians, have on some groundbreaking folk, talk about some amazing things. And for me to keep doing that, to be honest with you, I need a little bit of help. So if you can, patreon.com/Manny Faces. Thank you to our current supporters. I love them all. I link to your stuff if you're at a certain level. If you're at a certain level, you can come on the show and just kind of sit in and talk your talk, and we can have discussions. You can give your 2 cents about things. Shouts to Silent Night, Mark E, Jesse G, Toast, Nicholas S, Brianna C, Steffi, Kath and Morgan, my man Andrew Wang, who is one of the best supporters I've ever had in my camp ever, for just the amount of, spreading the word that he does. Dr. Raphael Travis, of course, the great Dr. Raphael Travis, the healing power of hip hop. Patrick and Chris J, and Adam Cruz, also a great hip hop educator, is a supporter of this show. If you can, $5 a month, et cetera, et cetera. That's all I'm going to say on it. I'm not going to talk you out of death. Do it if you can. If you can't, I'm still going to do what I do. That being said, there's a free, but also you can submit there as well if you want to put in a couple dollars. But there's a great newsletter. Before you go, please sign up to that, mannyfaces.substack.com. Most of y'all are probably on it. And that's it. Next week, I'm actually going to be here. I wasn't going to have a show, but because the Hip Hop Youth and Research Activism Conference got postponed, I will be here next week. Tired. I don't know who's going to be on, but they're going to be dope. So make sure you set your alarms. Don't rely on your technology. Subscribe on YouTube so you get the alert. YouTube.com/Manny Faces or hiphopcansaveamerica.com/watch, whatever works for you. And we'll be back next Monday, 9 p.m. Any last words from you knuckleheads in the comments section? Thank you, Natalie, please. I appreciate you. For anyone who wants to be lazy, patreon.com/Manny / Manny Faces. I don't know. I can't see. Yeah. Anyway, any last words? Anyone else? No, check it out. I'll be putting some stuff in the newsletter. So please sign up for the newsletter. It's free also. And it's really filled with great stories of hip hop innovation, inspiration, and insight. We got where will I be? I'll be at Fordham whenever they reschedule that. I'll be in Ireland at the end of May for the Global Cipher International European Hip Hop Studies Conference. I'm presenting there. I'm very honored and privileged to be there. My mama was from Ireland, so that's going to be pretty interesting to be on the motherland, so to speak. And yeah, so that's it. We'll be back next week. You can find me online. Like I said, I share a lot of stuff also during the week on my Instagram. It's Manny Faces Official. You can see it up here. I got a new puppy. Y'all remember Missy Elliott, Mississippi Elliott, my puppy? She came on once or twice. We got a new puppy. She's 3 now. And then we got a new puppy who's 6 months old, tiring us all the hell out. And I think that Mississippi is no longer my friend, but they're starting to get along. So hopefully that works out. Shouts to y'all. If you got dogs, it's a lot. Bob Knutson, thank you. Knutson, thank you so much. And that's about it. Oh, June 15th, Manny will be at the Hip-Hop Ed Conference. Right, Charlotte Michelle. Right, June 15th, which we're saving the date. I don't know if it's official yet, but rumor has it that June 15th, the Hip-Hop Ed Conference in, I guess, in New York City as well. I haven't been to them before, but those are all my peoples. I would like to come this year. That'd be really super dope. So I will try to do that. But I think middle of April, I'll be there for Hip Hop Youth Research and Activism. Charlotte Michelle is almost there this Saturday, and I would have been somewhere that, a lot of our folks will be at, and I'm a little disappointed because I wanted to go and pay respects. But anyway, that being said, yes, June 15th, keep an eye on that. Ada says, great show and great newsletter. Yes, any of these conferences or stuff you'll find out on the newsletter. And then I'll have these, if you missed the whole interview, Charlotte, I know you came late. You can run this back, but if not, I will have the standalone interviews up very soon on YouTube at youtube.com/Manny Faces. And also this show is still available as a podcast on the audio side. Just go to hiphopcasaveamerica.com. Really, that's honestly where everything's going to be. Hope you like the darker shades. If you didn't notice, normally I look like this, but I went back and now I got a darker frame. I'm sharing with you what I went through. And so I'm back to it. I started with a dark frame and now I got a darker frame. It's kind of burgundy. You can't see it because of all the weird colors going on, but I like it. I wanted to try it out tonight, see if you liked it. Shouts to my man, Vice Versus, rest in peace. The great Vice Versus from End of the Week, EO Dub, New York. That's who I'm representing tonight on the shirt. Hey, if you represent a thing and you like have shirts for your thing, you want to send me a shirt, I'll wear it. So, send me your shirts. I'll wear it and I'll big it up. You ain't even got to pay for it or nothing. I'll just be like, boom. Yeah. So yeah, once again, thanks to Representative Jamaal Bowman. I had a congressman on the show this week and the Hip Hop Task Force. I mean, quiet as kept. I was like, what is this all about? I need to know about this. I don't know if Congress can get something like that right. I did work with Congress last year, me and some other folks, wasn't just me, to update a draft of a hip hop resolution, a House of Representatives resolution declaring, last year, like the 50th anniversary of hip hop. And like, they were like, here's the wording. It's a draft. Let us know if you have any, suggestions or anything. And there were a couple of things right out of the gate. I don't want to like blow them up. It was a very early draft. So anything, could have been like spelling errors and typos and things. Like salt and pepper doesn't have 2 P's, like Peppa Pig. That had to like correct that. I'm sure someone would have corrected that. I'm just saying. And then I added what was great about it, and I love them for this, is that I asked them to add that hip hop has also been influential in helping advance the fields of education and health and wellness. And so if you look up HR 602, House Resolution 602, United States House of Representatives, that wording is included and it's there and it's official and it's on the record. And they wouldn't have done that without me. So I am very, very proud that, and very, privileged that they asked me, and to the best of my ability, I try to represent hip hop the way that I know and say, well, let me add a couple of really key areas where hip hop music and culture have helped benefit humanity. And that's in the areas of education, and that's the area of health and wellness. There were a couple of other things that I suggested that be added, and one thing that I suggested that be removed. And if you want to know what that is, you can talk to me privately and I'll tell you, but I'm not going to tell you publicly. Anyway, so with all that being said, I want to know what Congress was up to. I did meet Jamaal Bowman during the press conference for that resolution. I was up in Washington, D.C. I was in the halls of Congress. It was a great experience. Representative Kamala Gerdove from California represents sort of the L.A. area. She did a good job with that resolution. I'm glad that we came together on it. There were some other hip-hop organizations that were in attendance, including the Hip-Hop Caucus, including, I forget a couple of others. There was a little bit of media coverage from the Griot, and I was there representing my organization, the Center for Hip-Hop Advocacy, and representing Hip Hop Can Save America, and representing y'all. So that's what I'm trying to do. Just making sure that someone's doing it, and we out. We'll be back next week. Peace and love.